Firey is going to be making an explosive entrance explaining about fbomb and their non-inflationary yielding token that like gets nuts and ham yields. I mean, at one point it was over 4 figures on Aerodrome, but he'll explain all that in this video. And then, as always, we got Patrick bringing all the alpha and everything DeFi. Firey, tell us about yourself, man. Who are you?
Hi, Drake. Firstly, thank you for having me online, and it's a pleasure to join you guys here. I'm excited to talk a lot about FBomb, MCLB, and what we have planned because, well, I'll be honest, our community had been waiting since a long, long time, and we were just heads down working on trying to get things done, and we never really provided them with good updates. So they'll be excited to hear stuff as well. So F-bomb has quite a livid past, actually. So it started as bomb, just bomb without the F. So bomb was the first token on the Fantom chain, and back then it was just a random token just to play around with. It was the core concept was copied from the Ethereum chain, where there was a different token called bomb. So the concept was that only 1% of the tokens sent, received, or added to LP, removed from LP, or whatever actions where they are sent from one address to the other, 1% is burnt. So that was just a social experiment, and that's how it started. But eventually, the original bomb developer saw that this was gaining traction, and it was some young kid, we thought. And as soon as they realized that the LP had $30,000-$40,000 in value, they just sold all of their bomb, exited the LPs, removed LPs, and they just like literally took out Amazon gift cards for the $40,000,
No
and that
kid,
was
did
the
they
end of it.
really?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
It was a really funny story back in the early days. We all got drugged by a developer called Bob, and that's how the bomb token
Wow.
started, and it was drugged.
So with this dude Bob, when was this? Like, was this 2020, 2021? And giving you guys a little bit of context on this, Firey, he runs a multi-million dollar map DAO in DeFi. It's called Millennium Club. I'll show you guys what this looks like. They have several holdings right now. Millennium Club and share. So these are some of their VE tokens that they hold. They hold a lot of Glacier, Spirit, Solar Snake, Equalizer, Solidly. They have millions, and I'll show you guys their D Bank in a few. I gotta pull it up. But Fire, if you want to shoot that to me in the messages, if not, I'll pull it up real quick. But basically, I the reason why I'm asking this question is, what is it like to take on a project that was rugged, and like, how did you go about that, and why did you choose bomb or f bomb? Well, actually, it was bomb, and then you transversed it into f bomb. Like, what was the thesis behind this?
It was a long journey. It didn't happen in one go. It wasn't a single plan which was enacted upon. It happened in pieces. So, and it wasn't just one drug pull we kind of took over. It's more than one. So that's a funny and interesting story down there. So when Bomb was originally drug pulled by the first Bob, we realized that because it was the first token on Phantom, and also it would be prudent to add at this point that I am one of the first validators on Phantom since the early days. So Phantom had a lot more nostalgic value for me than just an average chain. So that's how I thought that I didn't really want it, Bomb to die as a rugged token because it was the first token on Phantom. So it was that nostalgia or that emotional attachment, you can call it, which made me take over Bomb. So there was no way to take over a bomb which was rugged. So I just literally started market buying, added some LP, started buying it, kept on repeating that till I took a decent large market share for the token. So during this time, there was a lot more community who was involved, and we were all brainstorming different ways to make it work. But like we planned small games and things, and we were trying to make a deflationary token work. So it's not just a non-inflationary; it's actually deflationary because we keep burning a lot of the supply. So that went on for a while. I would say, as Bomb was born in somewhere March 2021. That was the beginning of DeFi on the Phantom chain. As the first token, it marked the start. And I think somewhere around a year along the line, when Solidly was launching, I saw the potential which Bomb could have if there was a decent ownership in Solidly, how we could both create liquidity and how we could incentivize others to add liquidity and then further compound the burn. So that's how the vision was formed. I personally did invest in Solidly with that purpose, but the first iteration of Solidly, as built by Andre, had some technical flaws which could not be redeemed. And yes, that led to the downfall of the original Solidly. But what it actually did bring with it is exposure to other protocols like the Weave DAO, which is now known as Velodrome. So I was also an early investor there with the hopes and dreams that I'll probably get Bomb or Farm there. But till
Yeah.
that point, Bomb was still on Fantom and Velodrome was planning to launch on Optimism. So during this time, another opportunity presented to me. So there was a project called Revenant Labs, uh, represented by the token Credit or Creditum protocol. So
Yeah, I
I was
remember them. Those were the same guys as Stake DAO or
yeah,
Stake Swap.
stake.
Yeah, Stake. That's what it was.
Yes. So basically, stake was exploited, and the team renamed it to Credit Protocol. Then they further renamed the umbrella.
Fire, we lost you, man. Fire, are you there? Patrick, can you hear him?
I cannot hear him.
Fiery, we lost you, man. I can't hear you. Let's see. I'll message him. We cannot hear you. Oh, snap. Yeah, Fiery, we can't hear you, man. I see your little mic signal going, but we just can't hear you. I think one of your mic settings kicked out. Try jumping off and jumping back on. But anyways, a little bit about fbomb, just giving a little bit of a backstory on them. He kind of explained how they took over, but his whole goal was to create a way to have a sustainable way to have a protocol that is able to generate liquidity for their token, as well as leverage the taxes to pay off or use that as incentives or bribes. Fiery, you there? Fiery, can you hear? Fiery?
Are you?
Oh yeah. Wait, no. We just heard him. But anyways, that's what they're doing with these different protocols. I'll show you guys the. Let's see where it is. That's what all of this is right here. So where you see all these different protocols, you got Spirit Swaps, Solar Snake, Equalizer. What they're doing is they're voting on these different pools, and what they're able to do is they're able to get liquidity for the token itself for fbomb. And as people are trading and selling the token, it has a 1% buy and sell tax, and that's being used and is burned. You can also bridge this on multiple chains, and there's also a tax on that as well. Fiery, can you hear? Fiery. Good old live streams, man. I tell you what. Fiery, you're going to have to
sorry,
try.
guys.
Oh, I hear you. I hear
not
you.
sure what's happening. I think you can hear me now, but I
Yes.
can't hear you now.
I can hear
I'm
you.
still fixing this. Sorry.
Well, anyways, let me show you guys what it looks like on Aerodrome. See if I can get this out. All right, so I'm going to share this tab. Can you see that on Aerodrome? Yeah, okay. So on Aerodrome, if you go to, yeah, it's going to connect. We'll have to figure
Hi, mic check.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hang on. Looks good now. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened in the middle.
No, you're good. You're good. Okay. Yeah, I think we were chatting about the token itself, trying to create a sustainable runway or generate liquidity.
Yes. So basically, I was also telling you about the Revenant Labs. That's
Ah,
actually
fix
a
it. Yeah.
little relevant because that's how MCLB was born. So during the time when Velo was launching, that was the time that the community in Revenant Labs, that is the credit protocol, realized that the team wasn't doing anything. So it was slowly we all came to the realization that the previous team was in a way rug pulling the community, was leeching off the treasury. So there was a governance vote, and that's how I took over Revenant Labs as well. So we then renamed the token to MCLB, renamed the organization to Millennium Club, and that's how the Millennium Club DAO, the treasury, and the whole organization was formed. That is when I also further decided to align incentives and objectives, and that's how MCLB funded the development of the fbomb multi-chain wrapper. So I kind of integrated all of them together. Market bought a lot of fbomb for the MCLB treasury, and that's why they all had same incentives. So now the DAO is the one who is the primary farmer, is the one who's incentivizing liquidity, is the one who's acting as a part as the parent organization for fbomb. To further show this effect, all the liquidity for MCLB token is only paired with fbomb, so it matches the price. So now we have a sort of backing in fbomb for MCLB token. So for example, at current prices, it's 20 fbomb per MCLB. So now the treasury is incentivized to keep burning more fbomb, so the value of fbomb eventually rises because of the yield you can earn on top. Also, we can do revenue buybacks in the form of more FBOM. And in LPs, we can just swap for MCLB. So when the backing for MCLB increases, that is the ratio of FBOM per MCLB increases, there is no price drop in the FBOM because it's not connected with other LPs. It's just MCLB as an LP. So it's a little complicated, but now the entire vested interest for FBOM lies in the MCLB token. With the recent burning of the excess MCLB supply, we have now made MCLB deflationary as well. The deflation in MCLB comes from revenue buybacks, burns, and from increasing treasury. So whenever the market cap from MCLB decreases or goes below the liquid treasury at that point, we just buy back some and burn.
Got it. So is MCLB only on Fantom right now?
Yes, no plans to get it to any other chains. It's fbomb which we want to be bridged to every chains. Another point to note on bridging fbomb, 1% is burnt and 1% goes to the DAO treasury. So that's how the DAO also keeps accumulating more fbomb. Whenever there is a new farm or new opportunity on a different chain, the DAO actually earns a lot of fbomb from the bridging fee as well.
Got it. And can you give people some information on the taxes and how that works exactly with FBOM?
Sure. So on all chains, FBOM has just a simple basic 1% tax on all transactions. When you buy it, when you sell it, when you add LP, when you remove LP. Those are the four options you will probably take with your token, right? So all of them will include a 1% tax. So if you add LP and you remove LP, you will burn 1% on depositing and you will burn 1% while withdrawing. Do note that since you're LPing, for example, Ethereum and FBOM, so you'll only burn 1% on the FBOM part on both the sides.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from this, all the bridging transactions are taxed at 2%, 1% is burned, and 1% goes to the DAO multi-sigs.
Got it. So with the taxes itself, what was the reasoning behind this? Like bomb money, the original bomb token, it didn't have any taxes. Why did you choose to have a tax token, and how does that help to create a sustainable runway for the FBomb token?
So actually, these are three things. Firstly, bomb.money is a different bomb. Bomb, like the bomb on Fantom, always had the 1% tax. There was never a time where there was a token without this tax.
Got it.
That 1% is to create the deflation. Apart from that, the tax on bridging, the extra 1% which goes to the DAO treasury, you can't really call it a way to increase the treasury per se or increase the backing significantly, because it's not a significant source of income. You can't have a big or a decent farm on a new chain very frequently. It's like base, aero, and velo, right? Apart
Yeah.
from that, there are no farms which are of that size, so you can't expect significant volume, which is regularly bridging. Having said that, it does help supplement the LPs that the DAO keeps on making for fbomb. So we have more fbomb in protocol-owned liquidity. Now the question comes, how and like what is the source for funding for the DAO? So primarily it's the income we earn on LPs. Apart from that, we had a decent amount in stables, which is now completely deployed. We have been angel investing in a few major protocols, which we feel have a significant synergy with fbomb in future. Uh, I mean, I don't want to drop names and give stuff which is about to come, but in case you guys have heard of the project called Curvance CVE token, it's
Okay.
not launched yet. It'll come in time, but it's a partner project for all the major liquidity hubs. For example, Curve, Convex, Redacted, Cartel, Velodrome, and most likely Aerodrome as well. So it'll be a plugin on top. So like more
Interesting.
details soon, but it's like I have a vision with fbomb, and aero and velo are just two of the tools which are helping us achieve it. Curvance is actually the cherry on top. After Curvance, I feel I would be able to say that part one of my vision for fbomb, which MCLB has helped hone and implement, will be complete.
So what's
So
Curvance? How's Curvance going to leverage on top of Aerodrome, Velodrome, and all the other 3-3 dexes?
So Curvance is actually a flywheel of flywheels.
Okay.
Imagine if you can deposit your Velo USDC auto compounding LP token.
Okay.
The wall keeps on auto compounding, and against it, you can still borrow liquid funds, for example, dollars or Ethereum, at reasonable prices, reasonable rates, not obscene amounts. Now, imagine you can do that with all the LPs on Curve, Convex, Aerodrome, and you know literally all the liquidity hubs out there. So all of these LPs will actually be still earning on their native protocols. It's just the protocol Curvance will earn a part of the auto compounding fee, and it'll allow liquidity to be borrowed against on top. So ETH F1, imagine to be able to borrow against it in a
So being
decentralized
able to
manner.
borrow against your LPs is what you're saying.
Yes, that's a basic use case, and a lot more is being built around and on top.
Is that specifically for 3-3 dexes with Curvance, or are people going to be able to do that with like Uniswap LPs and whatnot? Because I think there's a protocol called Bunny allowing you to do this.
So
Well,
it's not.
not get a loan, but basically they were deploying incentives on top of it. I was just meaning the aspect that you have more utility with your LP token now, is what I was referring to.
Yes. So basically, yes, but I don't think it'll be as permissionless as you can borrow anything against anything.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, think like Aave, but for LPs.
Got it. That makes sense. Okay. And a quick, I have this portfolio up over here. This is one of the wallets on MCLB, but I see you guys got a nice airdrop from Aerodrome. Was this an actual airdrop or was this purchased? It looks like it was about
This,
a $500,000 airdrop, probably more at the
this was
time when you
actually
got it.
airdropped. This is completely airdropped.
That's crazy.
We
And
got this for the VE Velo we have.
yeah, I
The
was gonna say
Velo
it was probably because
was
of this.
actually completely purchased.
Okay. Okay, and what prices were you purchasing Velo at? Was this like sub a penny?
Not all of it. Very small amounts, I would say sub penny. More
Yeah,
like 2 to 4 pennies was
nice.
the generic range.
Yeah, and for people who don't know, this is the fbomb wallet. This is basically the treasury wallet that they use, but they have
It's not actually the treasury per se.
got it. So this is the bribing wallet then.
Yes, this is like a hot wallet. Not all of the assets are belonging to the DAO. It does have a few of the VENFTs, but apart from this, we also have multi-sigs.
Got it. Got it. So the vision of fbomb is to be able to get it to where you can get liquidity for the token without emissions for bomb. Is that the correct understanding?
I mean, without emissions in BOM, and we already have that. We
Correct.
have emissions in the form of Aero, Velo, and the other VE3 dexes we have a position on. So the point here is for people to be able to compound into BOM ETH LPs, for example. Let's take BOM ETH as the example because it's the most common and the most publicized LP. We all want BOM ETH LPs because ETH is the safest thing to pair BOM with. So what happens is when ETH BOM LPs are made, and let's assume it's a good day for fbomb and the prices are rising. So what will happen is for the user, they will face impermanent loss and their Ethereum will increase and fbomb will decrease. So this is how they're actually auto selling a part of the fbomb they have, you could say. But if they actually keep on compounding rewards, that should probably help in setting off some of that impermanent loss, right? Now, if they keep on playing this game and cycle, at some point they would want to take some sort of profits or they would want to withdraw some. So the borrowing is the part where that comes into play. They can just borrow a bit and play with that, and maybe add more LP, compound into LP, or use some of that extra liquid bomb they have, and they can be creative with it. The
Yeah,
fact
that'll
that
be interesting to see what Curvance does with that. A quick question on this though, on Velodrome, as you see on the screen, is the liquidity and the APRs generated from this, is this all organic, or are you still having to bribe over there? Like, are you specifically only using the voting power that you have of the Velo token, or is some of this subsidized with some bond tokens?
So we don't subsidize with BOM tokens per se, but all of the trading fee which we receive, we add back to the bribe. So apart from for example, let's say we bribe 2 million FBOM, and if we vote for the pool ourselves and we reclaim 1.5 million of FBOM, so next round, if we add 1.5 million FBOM, there will be no FBOM which is paid to outsiders, right? So we'll just vote and reclaim all the FBOM. So to help further get extra votes, what we do is we add the minimum number of bribes plus the trading fee. So on top of this, we get a small OP bonus on the Velo FBOM pool because it involves Velo. And that results in approximately 10 to 20% extra votes on top, which are not ours.
Got it. That makes sense. So with fbomb itself, are you going to be making other protocols in addition to that, or is it just like MCLB and fbomb and just going to try to tweak and make those the best that they can be?
So even if we add more protocols or use cases, there will be no more tokens. Like these are the only two tokens which will ever be there. fbomb is the base, MCLB is the treasury token. So currently the MCLB market cap is below $1 million, which is like a nice market cap to be at. It gives us a lot of room to work with. I mean, no one really cares if the price fluctuates a little bit here, and there's not a lot of down room to go.
So what's
quick
the
question,
goal
guys? Quick question,
go.
guys. I'm very confused. We talked a lot about the tokenomics and like ways of getting liquidity for fbomb. What's the actual purpose of the token?
We actually, there's a small correction. We did not talk about getting ways for liquidity. We just talked about incentives from that liquidity. We don't want people to get into liquidity. We want fbomb to be highly, highly volatile because that's what will promote the trades and burns. And because it's on so many chains, the burns will further compound. So the question was, what's the primary use case or purpose behind fbomb? It's a store of treasury for the MCLB DAO. That's one of the use cases, while it's also a token which keeps on burning. So the treasury has some sort of fallback that after a point, if we build enough around fbomb, at some point there will be a barrier breaking, which would result in a shit ton more fbomb burn than the average scale. Once that happens, once we have enough community who thinks that the treasury is doing enough or building enough around it, or resulting in use cases which are burning enough fbomb and still having a demand, that there is bound to be some upside pressure.
What use cases has the treasury already built?
So, for example, we invested $100,000 in Velo, and market bought 4 million Velo and locked it, and we have actually produced more yield than the amount we invested. We have a permanent source where there will be yield on fbomb. So, for example, if the price of fbomb dips, the yield won't dip because the yield is not in fbomb but in Velo. So that's just one of the strong VE3 use cases we have, and we have a very large share, as it's evident on DeFi Wars. Since you seem to know more about these positions, I can further explain that on Velo, most of the protocols got partner grants, and that's how they started building their Velo position. Millennium Club was not one of those protocols. We are the second largest protocol by our VE Velo holdings, and 100% of it was market bought, which is why we also got like 3x larger the VE Aero airdrop than any other protocol, because all of them had grants which were not redeemed into VE Aero, but we were, because none of us got grants here.
So here, Patrick, so here's an example of what they're doing like right now. Like if you want to swap out some Aero for like USDC or ETH, for example, you can see here the best, well, actually for this one, it doesn't show up on ETH. Let's see if it shows in a smaller amount. Let's try 100. But basically, if you're trying to swap out Aero, last night it showed up for ETH, but I guess just for USDC. Well, it just showed up a second ago. Basically, if you wanted to,
it keeps fluctuating.
Yeah,
it keeps fluctuating with ARBs.
Yeah, so like here, you can see right here. Right now, you can get the best rate by going from Velo to fbomb through YFX, which is their liquidity pair, into USDC. So anyone who wants to dump Velo, they're going to have to buy fbomb and sell it. So that's automatically a 1% buy and a 1% sell. So that's automatically 2%. That's burned. And if you take a look at this right here.
Hold on a second, though. But a few minutes ago, he said that they were explicitly trying to not get liquidity so it would be more volatile. And that sounds like a use case that would require you to get more liquidity.
No, this isn't used to get more liquidity. This is
but in order for it to be the best route, it needs to have liquidity.
There has to be a balance between the two. You can't take it to the extreme if either ways, because that's not how the market will take it. Not everyone will deposit liquidity, and there will always be sufficient liquidity if there is a high enough APR. For example, if people start withdrawing liquidity, currently the Velo F1 pool pays like 160% like APR, not APY, without compounding, which is, I mean, you have to admit, a little crazy, even for Velo, since fbomb is 100% deflationary at this point. So the point here is the crazy APRs are the one which will tempt or greed investors into adding LP. We don't want them to add LP, but they still will because of these APRs. And that's why the bomb will still get burned, because the APRs will attract that LP regardless of whether people fear the impermanent loss or not.
So if I bought fbomb, how do I accrue value from the treasury? Can I stake it somewhere?
So actually, the treasury does not belong to fbomb holders. It belongs to the MCLB token holders. So there is no staking fbomb. We don't want people to lock or single stake fbomb, because like we want them to be forced to add LP by their greed. If they hold it, they can actually accrue more value in a way if there is a decent increase in prices, right, versus the impermanent loss. So
Right.
it's a choice which they have to make. Either
Okay, so what's the point of fbomb then if it doesn't?
So let me show you right here, Patrick. So if you want to, can you see this?
Yeah, I can see this.
So if you're holding fbomb and you want to earn a yield on it, you have two options. You can do this by simply depositing into fbomb Aero pool or any of the other fbomb pools that you have. It's multi-chain, so I'm just using Aerodrome as an example. You can earn a yield here. Now, keep in mind there is a 1% tax every time you deposit and withdraw. This tax is a deflationary mechanism, which, as you can see right here, I just had the screen up somewhere. Oh yeah, here it is. Actually, oh, you're seeing this one. You weren't seeing what I was showing you on Aerodrome. So let me share this tab instead. So as you can see here on Aerodrome, if you want to earn a yield with your fbomb, you can get 522% APR with this LP pair. Sure, you have impermanent loss, yada, yada, yada. So it's probably best to go with like an ETH fbomb pair. But that's one of the options where you can get revenue. The second option is you simply just hold the token. You hold fbomb, and obviously you like it's hard to outperform Bitcoin and ETH. I'll show you a price chart later on fbomb. But basically, as you can see this chart here, how it's up only, this is the fbomb being burned. Now, if there is any amount of demand, or let's say the same exact demand is there for fbomb that is today, and in the future, let's say there's 10% less supply, the price has to go up. Why? Because if you have the same demand and less supply, it equals a price increase because there's that many more buyers.
Okay, but say for someone, again, tokenomics, all that stuff, what's the intrinsic utility of it beyond
utility?
Okay, I got this one. How about I take this one? Okay, so Patrick, as an investor, let's say you don't hold any of our tokens. Let's start from scratch. Let's say you're just a guy who holds Ethereum and who doesn't want to stake Ethereum because of the low yield and wants to earn more on his Ethereum. So at this point, right now, you buy some fbomb because you want to earn yield on Ethereum, right? So just play along this example. You buy some fbomb, you add LP. Let's say you add 10 ETH plus whatever amount of fbomb to LP, and you're earning a decent 50% APR, bare minimum. So at this point, either fbomb price falls down and you end up with less ETH in your LP, but the APR in dollar amount is still the same because it's not an fbomb, right? So you just still continue earning the APR, assuming or hoping that the price recovers. Now, if the price rises and your fbomb decreases, you get more ETH, but you're still earning the same yield. So the point here is, if you don't hold any of our tokens and you want to earn a good yield on ETH, you have a place where you can just pair an LP with fbomb and earn exponentially more than what single staking as a staker in ETH would get you. Now, let's take a second point of view. Let's say you hold fbomb, and now you feel like, what do you do? How do you earn? What's the use case? So again, you can always LP with extra assets like ETH, LP with riskier assets like Aero or Velo. Now, let's say you're a user who's not pro DeFi or who's not like, you don't want to LP. You're like, I hate impermanent loss. It always gives me nightmares. There'll always be someone like that. So what do you do? So now you have the MCLB treasury working for you, the MCLB token whose valued and measured in fbomb. So what you do instead of single staking, you can just buy MCLB token, which is, again, as I said, paired with fbomb. So for example, right now, 20 fbomb gets you an MCLB. Let's say you buy whatever amount of MCLB, and now the treasury is actually working in your favor. We are helping burn fbomb and increase the fbomb ratio for MCLB. So again, we're just running some numbers for examples. I'm not giving you a projection. Let's say a year later, the treasury has done decently enough, and we can do buybacks, and maybe the ratio will be 25 fbomb per MCLB. So that's how the backing per MCLB and fbomb will increase. So we don't have a single stake per se, but you can just buy MCLB token, which is equivalent to single staking with the DAO treasury. So I'm assuming you're not holding MCLB, otherwise we wouldn't be having
the entire purpose. Is the purpose of fbomb for the price to go up and for it to provide yield?
No, actually, the purpose for fbomb is to provide a deflationary token which can be used to measure the treasury in. So now you would ask, why would fbomb hold value? Because the yield guarantees it. There is always that yield via Aero, Velo, or whatever methods you may want to call it. So that's the guarantee for fbomb price. Lastly, I would also mention here that in case, worst case scenario, nothing works, no yield on Aero, no yield on Velo, no yield at all, people will dump fbomb, right? Now, this is where the MCLB DAO will come in. We do have a treasury which is not in locked tokens, not in fbomb and MCLB. We hold investments in various protocols, like as I mentioned, Curvans. So Curvans will actually earn us our revenue in pure Ethereum. So that's one source of decent revenue which we are expecting, which will help do buybacks in case we feel the backing is way, way lower than what it should be. So let's say bomb falls, the backing for MCLB in bomb will increase substantially because we will maintain the MCLB token value.
So what's the benefit to MCLB of creating fbomb and doing all this? You mentioned that you said it can be used to measure the treasury, but it seems like, you're incentivizing all this yield and just giving it away for free.
That's one way of looking at it. So, like, I'm sure you've seen Velo and Aero and how many protocols like Taro, Deus, Base, and others have added bribes, created their own locked positions, and voted for it just to support their POL, get some extra side income, and so on and on. So let's say we did the same with MCLB token. I think we would miss one small but very large part here. With fbomb, we got two sources of revenue, indirectly and directly, for the DAO. Firstly is let's be honest, a deflationary token is always helpful, right? We've already burned more than 34% of our entire fbomb supply. So I feel that does and will always have some positive action, if not more. Apart from this, whenever we bridge fbomb, there is an extra 1% bridging fee, which also further provides some extra sort of side revenue for the DAO. So those are things which helped make this decision. Also, I think it would be prudent to note at this point that the MCLB DAO was born much after the bomb token was born. So the bomb takeover was before the MCLB takeover, and once the Revenant Labs takeover happened, I saw the opportunity. I realized that the DAO can make a lot more, create a lot more value, and grow a lot faster if it pairs and latches on to fbomb. As fbomb wasn't just a project owned by MCLB DAO, but it was an independent project before that. So it has its own community, it has its own followers. So it was like aligning objectives helped both the projects rather than have one earn less or be on the losing end, if that makes sense.
Thank you for the explanation.
So Firey,
hey, I enjoyed this. I love good questions. This is my favorite topic.
So Firey, what's the ultimate goal with fbomb? Is it just trying to deflate it as much as possible and create more of a value into it, or what's the exact goal?
So burning more isn't the main goal. It's just a side goal. It's something which will continue to happen, and we will always try to increase that. So having said that, I think what teams, protocols, and people focus in this field is more of finite games or small term games. They have smaller objectives in regards to time frame, not to the size of the objective. So what we are trying to do here is not something which is short lived. For example, like there are projects who are turning into farming based protocols for Velo and Aero, but that's just one part of what we are doing at MCLB. fbomb is a token which has allowed us to unlock the potential in many, many more forms. And we are also attempting to get partner projects to launch liquidity attached to our token. We are, as I mentioned, angel investing in a lot of projects. So some of these projects are also allowing us to plug in fbomb. So for example, one of the partner projects we have is Fantom, early trading card game on Fantom. So in that game, bomb is actually a food token. You can feed it to your playing cards in a way to gain more stats. So that's just one of the tiny use cases one of our partners incorporated. As we build our portfolio of partners, as we help our partner projects, we are planning on getting a lot more use cases built around it.
Got it. So with the 3-3 Dex craze the solidly Dex craze that we had this year, do you think that there is still legs in the solidly Dexes or for the solidly Dexes to run, or will you guys be pivoting to another alternative? Because obviously you need to stem volatility in the fbomb token in order to have the taxes and keep volume going around fbomb.
That's a fair question many of us are bound to have, especially for a token so attached to these dexes. So it's not dexes which will succeed or dexes which will fail per se. Each player has their own strengths and weaknesses. So what we have with Velo and Aero, for example, are some of the top strengths or top two contenders in the space. So once they launch concentrated liquidity pools, it is presumed that the fee earning should be enough that it shall sustain the cycle for these programs. So as I said, we are not sticky to VE33 only, and we want to spread our wings far wide and see what we can capture in terms of value, growth perspectives, and collaborations where not just like we just partnered with them just for the sake of it, but something where the projects can add mutual value.
Got it. Yeah, for me at least, I look at fbomb as a solidly ETF token, if that makes sense. So yeah, that kind of like explains it a little better. So if you're bullish on Velodrome, bullish on Aerodrome, bullish on all these dexes that fbomb is deployed on, you can kind of look at fbomb as your ETF. Because like instead of saying, hey, this one's going to be successful, this one's going to be successful, this one, you just buy fbomb. fbomb is going to pick the successful one, and sure, it may lose some. It may have some ones that don't make it, but overall, it's in their incentive to pick the ones that are going to win because it benefits their protocol itself. So kind of explaining it a little better for people who are watching, look at fbomb as a solidly ETF token. So if you're bullish on these protocols and you don't know which ones to choose, instead of going out there market buying Velo, market buying Arrow, market buying Sliz, Equalizer, fbomb just gives you exposure to all of those. And it's reflexive to the token prices as well. So if those guys are screaming up, fbomb is going to go up. Why? Because the yield in the token is going up. People are coming over to Aerodrome and they're like, hey, wow, 522% APR. How do I participate in this? Well, you got to buy fbomb and hold Arrow. Or if you want 277%, you got to hold fbomb and YFX. I mean, overall, the token has actually held up similar to like Taro. Taro doesn't have the taxes. Let me show you an example. fbomb priced in ETH terms, it actually has held up like not that bad. If you take a look at it at one point in time when the solidly dexes were going nuts and ham, it was actually outperforming the markets. But again, this is going to be reflexive to Velo. But outside of that, outside of fbomb, MCLB, yada, 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 this is more of like a personal question. Firey, what's it like running a DAO, or at least over at MCLB and managing the Discord? What's it like in the day in the life of a running a multi-million-dollar DAO?
It's extremely dynamic. It's like running hoops up and down. You don't know your day. My day is planned by my Discord alerts and notifications I get. So a lot of Discord time, a lot of having to stay connected, a lot of questions, a lot of stuff to decide, a lot of repercussions of those stuff. I guess that's just how it goes. And, the end of the day, survival of the fittest, it's a decentralized environment. As the saying goes, Ethereum is a dark forest. So we all have to watch out for our own interests. In this case, it's not just my own personal interests, but interests for a community, for a protocol which has its own token. So having those interests aligned always works best. So being the one who overtook Bomb previously, and now Bomb being the core token powering MCLB DAO, it made things a lot more easier once those interests were aligned. So now when I think clearly, it's always in the benefit of all of the parties concerned. I never have to think if it's benefiting them or whom. So it's a very dynamic experience, lots of ups and downs. You meet a lot of people. You realize that what they want will always impact what they do and what they say, and how that changes as things keep progressing.
Got it. So are you on the
learning experience?
So do you do any of the dev stuff, or are you just more the networking guy and someone sends something on your table and you're like, oh yeah, that's a good idea, or nah, bro, I ain't touching that? What is your position or role at the DAO?
So I'm the one who manages the treasury, who makes the decisions after consulting with everyone, with the team, with the members of the community. And I don't do any developing myself. Developer Max Flow, he's our full-time dev in a way. And he was the one who built fbomb wrapper, which is the omni-chain enabled wrapper. So we got it built by him before anyone else, before the OFT standard was established. He did all the legwork and built it from scratch.
So are you the guy behind this wallet who is like, hey, look, we need to move our liquidity positions here. We need to bribe this pool here. Like, do you manage this, or are you just like the type of guy who's just like, yeah, you go do this, Max, I need this. Oh, wow, that's a cool project. Oh, maybe we should talk about making some investments over there to make the DAO better. Firey, can you hear? We might have lost him again. Yeah, well, Firey, we can't hear you, man. You gotta fix your mic. Abs, Patrick, what do you guys think about fbomb so far? Have you guys even heard of this thing?
Yeah, when I was kind of surfing through Fantom ecosystem, fbomb was kind of showing up, basically showing up on my feed almost every day. There he is. He's back.
Yeah, there he is. Yeah, I remember it was popping off when the Solidly Wars or the Solidly Dexes were going up nuts. Those things were the top performers, and I can't remember how well they did, but they were going nuts. I'll see if I can pull up some forks so you guys can see this.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it could be interesting as a higher beta play on Aerodrome, which itself is a higher beta play on base ecosystem. So that could make it like a extremely high beta play on base ecosystem.
Yeah, like these things went nuts. Like at one point in time, they went from 104 mil in TVL, almost a bill at one point. But that's nuts, just in the matter of time. Let's see.
Is he back?
Yeah, he just jumped on. The other mic doesn't work.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now, man.
Okay, this is the third device. If this fails, I'm leaving.
You're
I'm quitting.
Hey, Firey, this is Abs. Really nice to meet you. Happy to have you on. But I have a question about. I'm not sure if this was mentioned earlier, but the whole Fantom ecosystem, kind of like the fiasco, primarily driven by the multi-chain. Would you say it's a hack or exploit? But it's solid. It's solid that you guys have gone multi-chain, and it's really cool to see that, because I didn't know that until you guys were talking. But just wondering what your thoughts are on the Fantom ecosystem, because I know that the F in fbomb basically is Fantom bomb, right? So are you guys going to look to like rebrand, or are you guys going to stick with it? Are you guys looking to leave Fantom completely? Just kind of getting your sentiment and your take on Fantom's ecosystem at this point in time.
Of course, I completely understand. Yes, the F stands for Fantom. And no, we won't be rebranding. We'll keep the name. And we still have Fantom as our original home. And MCLB token is only available on Fantom and on no other chains as of now. So the plan here is, I understand that there was a lot of drama regarding multi-chain. Even before that, there was a lot of drama when there were large liquidations on chain. And things were just salty. The whole community was taking very badly to things and how it was turning out. And once the multi-chain hack/exploit happened, for a lot of protocols, that was the final nail of the coffin, and they just had to leave the chain and move to the other chains. Coupled with the fact that Fantom does not have a large or a traditional incentive or grant system like many of the newer chains, especially the L2s, where most of the supply is still with the treasury not circulating. So many protocols felt that they maybe needed grants for it to be more lucrative for them. And I think that's why they left. Once the multi-chain drama happened, the TVL on-chain dropped drastically beyond like any thoughts which it could happen, which is primarily because the stables on-chain were bridged via multi and they all lost value. Having said that, I'm in a few groups where I'm in constant communication with the Fantom Foundation. So what we know for sure is they have been hit by this as well, but they are taking more of a technical approach to solving this issue. So what they are focusing on right now is bringing the Fantom virtual machine to fruition. It's already in the testing stages, and we hope to see something released. Maybe not a final release, maybe a test release, but something by the end of this year. So their aim is to first figure out FBM, which is something which should give us the drastic capabilities we need to match the best of chains out there. Right now, we are doing very well in terms of technology, not TVL, not the market sentiment, just the technology. And they plan to start marketing, create more hype in that traditional way once they have FEM out. They feel they don't want to waste it. I'm not saying it's the right decision or the wrong one. It's just what they are doing. Having said that, we did choose Fantom as our home because we do love the team, the technology, and how it's been built since day one. I've been an investor in Fantom since the early ICO, so I've followed them since the early 2018 and seen what they are capable of at this point. So I'm still here. I'm still excited to be here. I mean, it's a very bad market for a lot of protocols, for a lot of chains, but I still think Fantom has a lot of oomph to grow. And it's something which time will tell how well or how bad that goes. But our treasury is still accumulating value, and we will bridge the F-bomb back to Fantom just to increase the MCLB back.
No, great. Thanks for that. So you are technically still bullish Fantom. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, even non-technically.
Gotcha.
Telling you, it's going to be the trade versus Solana. Remember, Abs? Remember
yes,
we were
I
talking
remember.
about it. I think it's
I
going to
remember.
outperform Solana still. How's it doing so far? I think it's down. Compared. I think it's down. Phantom's down 20%. Solana's down like 10 from when we last talked about
Listen,
it.
I've gone into the weeds with Solana recently in the last like 3 days. Really diving deep, and I don't know if Fantom's going to recover into the likes of if you're gonna go toe to toe with Solana. I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I've been doing a deep dive as well, Drake. I'd be willing to take the other side of that.
All right. I'll be the Fantom guy.
I'm hearing like $100 bet here. I'm just
Firey, where you at? Where you at? I got some.
I'm the Fantom bomb guy, guys.
Yeah, but you're deployed on Fantom. You got to know this stuff, man.
Yeah, I think we've actually polled a couple of our previous guests on here and to see if there was any hope for Fantom to come back, and I think majority of them, except for you, saying that Fantom is done. There's no turning back. There's no positive light at the end of the tunnel for Fantom because this hack has been like the TVL just for itself. And I know TVL is just a number, but it holds a lot of weight. And they were talking about Fantom. Was heavily impacted by this, and so that you saw the TVL completely drop from like 250, 300 million, and now it's sitting at what 50. And most of the folks that are on there literally have their wrapped ETH sitting at with the worth of like $100. I don't know where it is as of right now. Roasted. Yeah, it's still roasted, and everything else on there is still roasted. That's it's, but yeah, I think that, and I'm just going to say this out loud, but I think that the Fantom Foundation needs to kind of be a little bit more vocal in terms of their approach and how to recover, make and fix things in this ecosystem, because at this point in time, it's not good to see, and it's not healthy to see that silence, right? You want to see people to highly and over communicate, because this is a lot of money, right? And with the multi-chain hack and how that basically played out, we saw the post-mortem. That was obviously an inside job, and it's unfortunate for everyone that was invested in it, myself included. I have high hopes for it, but I want it to succeed. I want everything to succeed. I want all of us to succeed. But
thanks, Abs.
Yeah, no worries. But I'm just saying out loud that Fantom's wrapped up in the multi-chain hack is very, very massive. And it's, there was a time where when UST was going down and it was depegging, I said to myself, you know what? I think UST might come back. And everyone around me was saying, no, you got to be realistic. It's not coming back. So it was just dying, and now it's dead. It's rolled over. It's impacted a lot of other, institutions, and caused the spiral effect. But with this multi-chain hack, it's massive. To that magnitude, Drake, I will take that bet any day. I'll take it today. I'll take it tomorrow. I'll take it next 3 months, whatever.
So Firey, what are you looking at? Or are you just
Mhm.
focusing on MCLB and fbomb? Surely as like a crypto G, you got to be looking at some other stuff.
I mean, I'm not really looking at any L1s, L2s, or any large chains per se. I'm more of active in DeFi space. For example, I mean, I've spoken about Curvans, but like again, it would be, yeah, it's not my place to speak highly about something which I'm invested in. Having said that,
Good.
I'm supremely excited for Curvans. I can't tell you how excited I am. So that's these are the protocols which I feel which will make a long-term impact and actually create value, not just for users for protocols, but on a larger scale. So I'm actually looking forward to such protocols, and I'm always researching and trying to find more things which can, change the world and change the way we look at things in our space.
So are there any other protocols like in DeFi that you're looking at that you think are doing something interesting besides Curvans?
That'll be hard to say. I think a little time will tell, and it's nothing specific or anything big which I have my eyes set on or which has clarity yet. But I'm looking at a lot of things. It's always when you're running a DAO or when you're running such an organization, there'll be a shit ton of leads which people will always throw at you.
Right.
So it's a lot of research, a lot of reading, a lot of analysis, a lot of Twitter.
So you get a lot of DMs and a lot of messages from people saying, "Hey, look at this. Hey, look at this."
I do, but I tend to tell people not to DM and just message in our DAO Discord. So it's a lot of our members are really smart, a lot smarter than me in a lot of areas. So it helps when all of us look at these projects with together. So we discuss pros and cons, and we can maybe figure stuff out. So,
Got
for
it.
example, right now there are a lot of friend tech key aggregators out there. There are a lot of bots out there. So these are common narratives. We don't always follow the common narrative, but we try to find our products which will stand out.
So
Got
far,
it.
I have a question, man. I have a question about the fbomb circulation, right? It's looks like, and I'm looking at the Dune analytics for this. So you're basically available on Base, Avalanche, ETH, Polygon, Binance, Arbitrum, Optimism, and Fantom. And this is great. Just looking at this because it actually adds to the burn, the total burn effect. Is there any what's the roadmap for adding more? Because it looks like you guys are all over the place at this point. But is Mantle in the question? Is Mantle down the road? Is ZK Sync and Linea, are they kind of like in your sights?
So bridge to Mantle, Kanto, and Kava is already live as well. ZK Sync and Linea are planned.
Gotcha. Awesome.
So, in case you're watching the Dune dashboard, so it since Dune doesn't support data from Kava, Kanto, or Mantle endpoints yet, those chains are not updated on the dashboard, but they will be as soon as Dune supports it.
Great. That's awesome.
And we'll keep adding more chains. We'll keep adding as many chains as we need, probably more. We're also live on Polygon ZK EVM.
Oh, Polygon ZK AVM, I think they have 0 coming over there, right?
Yeah, it's the contract is live, but since we don't have any farm or use case there, we haven't really bridged any.
Like 0 is the protocol. It's a retro.
Zero Finance.
Yeah,
yes.
Like
Yes.
retro. It's the same guy.
I mean, okay, so it's a little complicated, but so MCLB and MCLB members were early seed investors in retro finance, but Saturn actually. But once Saturn crashed and burned, we were actually eagerly waiting for a retro launch. But there were some communication difficulties, and the retro team did not. But there were just some difficulties. Let's just call it. The end result was we did manage to get our claims, but they haven't provided fbomb with any farms. So we are not expecting a farm on Zero Finance as well as of now. but eagerly hoping that Retro Zero team reconsiders and gets us a farm.
Got it. Yeah, I remember you guys had there was like a little tiff back in the day. I can't remember exactly what happened with it, but it's nice to hear that's you guys are on good terms again. But no, Firey, hey, I appreciate you jumping on, man. And I appreciate you chatting about fbomb and your thoughts on the market and basically what it's like to run a DAO over at MCLB. We got to have you sometime on. We got to have you back on sometime in the future. Is there any other closing thoughts or any other things you want to leave us with?
I think that's mostly covered. Just to sum it up, as an investor, in case you're looking at this, in case you are deep diving fbomb or MCLB, the two options where you can earn is either LP fbomb or just buy some MCLB with your fbomb, which is equivalent to single staking fbomb. So those are the two primary options. In case someone wants the TLDR on the last 1 hour.
That works. That works. And just the TLDR on MCLB itself, what is the mechanism that allows that to be like single staking fbomb?
It's single staking because the treasury will increase its backing by increasing the fbomb per MCLB ratio. If you buy back MCLB, the only way to buy back MCLB is to buy using fbomb because that's what's its LP with. So basically, think of MCLB token as a single staked version of fbomb. The staking APR or the value increase in MCLB will come from the treasury increase.
Right. So kind of like impermanent gain.
Exactly. Except you don't even have to LP. Just like MCLB in terms of fbomb will rise. Now, if you feel fbomb in terms of dollar will rise, that's a double win for you.
That's true. That makes sense. Firey, I appreciate you jumping on, man. Ads, Patrick, you guys got any other questions for him?
No questions for me. Appreciate you on.
Nothing.
As always, let's leave it with a wisdom one-liner. Proverbs chapter 15, verses 12. Mockers resent correction, so they avoid the wise. That's true. You could be wise in this one. Peace out, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, guys, for having me. It was wonderful to talk to you guys, to learn more about how people would perceive fbomb. And I'm happy I got one more person to learn that fbomb is now multi-chain.
Thanks for jumping on, Firey.